Recently, the Bihar election got concluded. The people were enjoying it as a festival. Undoubtedly, it is the festival of democracy. So, democracy basically is a characteristic. It is a virtue that the behavior should be democratic. That many countries are democracy but not republic. For example, Spain, Article 324(1). There shall be an election commission of India for direction, superintendence and control. These three words are very important. Direction, superintendence and control, and free and fair election. UPSC released its answer key and says right to vote is a constitutional right. Parliament will not solve the election dispute. Parliament will only provide the authority which will solve the election dispute. Then delimitation of constituencies happened before the election. So it is in 1950. Welcome students. We are going to deal an important topic that has been in news. In fact, it perennially appears in news related to elections in India. Undoubtedly, election remains a key aspect in democracy, and it should be both free as well as fair. Free means it should be it should be free from external influence, free to choose anyone. Fair means equal opportunity for everyone. The entire process should be transparent. So it should be free, the voters should not be intimidated, as well as fair, that all the candidates have an equal opportunity to win the election and the process is transparent. So we believe in free and fair election. Although in a country as beautiful, as diverse as ours, and people so much educated about democracy, so elections also are celebrations and festivals in India. Recently, the Bihar election got concluded. The people were enjoying it as a festival. Undoubtedly, it is the festival of democracy, which we call Loktantra ka Mahaparv. Here, we are dealing with a very complex and nuanced issue which is with respect to the constitutional and statutory provisions related to election. Although, as we have decided that we'll keep the lecture brief, keeping the keeping the various aspects in mind, like it should engage the students, it would invite the interest of the scholars, it should not be too monotonous and long, it should be succinct and brief, to the point. So keeping in mind, we'll try to wrap the things in a brief time. Else, election is such a topic that we can comfortably discuss for 2 days also. So, but we'll try to keep it very brief. Okay. That first of all, what are the constitutional provisions and structural things related to election? First, elections are in part 15 of the Constitution from Article 324 to 329. In the entire Constitution from Article 1 to Article 395, indirectly, provisions related to election you will find in Articles 81 also, 81-82 related to delimitation, or 169, 70, 71 related to the same in the state legislature. But directly related to election, you will find these articles: 324, 325, 326, 327, 328 and 329. These are the articles in the Constitution which are enough for all the provisions related to election. Two major laws are there. One is Representation of People Act 1950. Other is Representation of People Act 1951. Then there is an order, Election Symbols Order 1968. Although there is Conduct of Election Rules 1961. There is Electoral Registration Rules also, but important is Election Symbols Order 1968. Let's understand, see, intellectually we can talk that we live in democracy. Demo means people, cracy means rule. So it is people's rule. If one person is running, it is autocracy. If the rich people or elite class rule, it is aristocracy. If there is a rule of one person, we call autocracy. If the merit is celebrated in the society, is meritocracy. But we live in democracy. And democracy elections are an important feature. But always remember, election is not an end to democracy. A Western scholar has said that democracy is a daily plebiscite. It is not a 5-year affair. Elections are an important component of democracy, but without a shadow of doubt, elections are not end to democracy. Free and fair elections are one of the important feature of democracy. Democracy means an accountable, transparent behavior by the government throughout the year. From right to information to judicial review, from liberal democratic state to separation of powers, everything promotes democracy. From constitutionalism to constitutional morality, they all promote democracy, but not necessarily that it is only about elections. Otherwise, a government that will be given mandate can do anything. No. Democracy is a 5-year affair. It is a daily plebiscite. Democracy is a daily plebiscite, 5-year affair. It is not about one-day elections only. Undoubtedly, elections give legitimacy to the government, okay, but that is not an end in itself. Government must always be limited, and of course, there can be government. What is government? Set of people who have the authority to govern. So government can be based on democracy. Government can be based on dictatorship. Government can be based on aristocracy. Government can be based on flawed or partial democracies. But real democracy, which is like countries like India, United States and all, of course, and multiple aspects are there. So democracy basically is a characteristic. It is a virtue that the behavior should be democratic. If I am the eldest member of the 5 siblings, okay, if I am the eldest member of the 5 siblings, if I, for that matter, take a decision and all the 4 siblings are forced to follow without discussing them with them, then it is, in a way, I'm not being democratic. So government should be accountable, transparent. Government should be of the people, for the people and by the people. Of the people means the government should be belonging to the people. It is my government. That is why you call my government. For the people, government should be committed to the people. By the people, matlab government should be elected by the people. For example, there is a monarchical government. It is dedicated to the people. So it is for the people, but not by the people. For example, there is a government which is where you are what you call, which actually does not belong to the people. People do not have a sense of belongingness. So government may be for the people and by the people, but not of the people. So one, the government should be by the people, elected by the people. The government should be for the people, committed to the people, and there should always be sense of belongingness. That is why the official page, you have mygov.in. It is my government. It is the government of the people, and the government is committed to the people. So of the people, for the people, and by the people. Without going into these, what you call too much discussions into this, but yes, one, democracy is a behavior. Elections are an important component of democracy. Elections are not an end to democracy because democracy is a daily plebiscite, a Western scholar has said. So every single day the government should be accountable to the people. Free and fair election. Free means the voter is free to choose anyone. Election is free from any external influence. Fair, that it should be equal. For example, there are only 2 candidates in which the voter has to choose. Others were not allowed to contest the election. So election was free. Voter was free to choose anyone, but not fair because everyone was not having equal chance to win the election. Or the authorities are favoring one candidate. So it may be free, but not fair. So it should be free as well as fair and transparent. Okay. So Article 324 of the Constitution provides for free and fair election. So now, as I said, that many countries are democracy but not republic. For example, Spain, democracy but not republic. Japan, democracy but not republic. Bhutan, democracy but not republic. Nepal from late 80s till 2005-6, democracy but not republic. United Kingdom, most importantly, democracy but not republic. So the country, there is an elected government of, for and by the people, but the head of the state is an elected person. So the republican characteristic is based on divided sovereignty, where they don't believe in republicanism is a behavior where every individual is equally important and sovereignty is divided and there is no privileged class, and of course the head of the state is elected. So democracy and republic are interlinked as well as different things. Okay, what is important? What are the provisions related to election in the Constitution? Okay, now we have limited time, so we'll try to do. First, we have Article 324 to 329. Article 324, 325, 326, 327. I will show you also. 328 and 329. Article 324(1). There shall be an election commission of India for direction, superintendence and control. These 3 words are very important. Direction, superintendence and control, and free and fair election. Which all election? This is important. So which elections are conducted by Election Commission of India? President, which is mentioned in the Constitution, Vice President, then you have parliament and state legislature. So which elections are conducted by Election Commission of India? President, Vice President, Parliament and State Legislature. Which election is conducted by State Election Commission? Which is in Part 9 of the Constitution and Article 243K. Always remember, never get confused between Election Commission of India and State Election Commission. Election Commission of India is an absolutely different body with State Election Commission. State Election Commission is in Part 9 of the Constitution and Article 243K. But Election Commission of India is in Part 15 and Article 324. Election Commission of India is for President, Vice President, Parliament and State Legislature. State Election Commission is for Panchayati Raj institutions, and Part 9A may, again Article 243ZA, you have State Election Commission. Same State Election Commission is also for urban local bodies. So that is in Part 9 and Part 9A, both places, 243K and ZA. Okay, so there are two different election commissions. One election commission for Parliament, State Legislature, President and Vice President. Separate election commission in states for Panchayati Raj institutions and urban local bodies. So these elections are conducted by Election Commission of India and State Election Commission. Which elections are not conducted by Election Commission of India or State Election Commission? Election to the office of Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Deputy Chairman. These elections are not conducted by either Election Commission of India or State Election Commission. Okay. So first you should remember which is conducted by Election Commission of India. So you have President, Vice President, Parliament and State Legislature, which is conducted by State Election Commission. Then you have Panchayati Raj institutions and urban local bodies, which is not conducted by either of the two, that is Speaker, Deputy Speaker by Lok Sabha Secretariat as per Rule 7 and 8 of Lok Sabha, and you have Deputy Chairman in Raj Sabha by Raj Sabha Secretariat. In this, Election Commission is not involved. Okay, now next. Although there are a lot of things, we can discuss very, very comprehensively, but we have to keep it precise for for easy adaptability and understanding. Okay, it should not become too monotonous or voluminous. Okay. Now, Article 324 of the Constitution says there shall be Election Commission of India for direction, superintendence and control and free and fair election to the office of President, Vice President, Parliament and State Legislature. First thing. Second, few important facts are there. One, Election Commission shall have a Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners to be appointed time to time by the President. So in the Constitution, number is not fixed. Till 1989, we were having only one Chief Election Commissioner, who is the chairperson of the commission if there are more than one member. So of course, after in 1989 Lok Sabha election, by 61st Constitutional Amendment Act, the voting age was reduced. So the number of voters suddenly increased. So two more election commissioners were appointed before 1989 Lok Sabha election. But after the election, they were removed. Again, from late 90s, somewhere around 93, we have two more election commissioners. So conclusion here is, the Constitution of India does not fix the number of election commissioners. It only says there shall be a Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners to be appointed time to time by the President. Depends. Now, presently, we have Chief Election Commissioner and for last more than 30 years and two election commissioners. It is written, if there will be other election commissioners, then Chief Election Commissioner will be the Chairman of Election Commission. Then it says that the Article 324 is important, that the Chief Election Commissioner will be removed in a manner similar to that of Supreme Court judge. So there is complete what you call security of tenure given to the Chief Election Commissioner. He cannot be removed except in manner and like of a Supreme Court judge. But other election commissioners can be removed anytime, because Constitution says they can be removed on the recommendation of Chief Election Commissioner. So Chief Election Commissioner enjoys security of tenure, but other election commissioners can be removed on the recommendation of Chief Election Commissioner. So they don't require the security of tenure. Article 325 is a simple article. Nobody shall be eligible or ineligible to be included in voter list. Matlab, neither there will be a separate voter list on the grounds of religion, race, caste, and nor there will be a what you call separate, nobody shall be eligible to be included on the ground of religion, race, caste, sex, and neither will be ineligible. Simply Article 325 was added to do away with separate electorates in India. Neither anybody is eligible to be included in a separate voter list on the ground of religion, race, caste, sex, nor a person is ineligible to be excluded from a voter list. That is Article 325. Article 326 is important. It has right to vote. I think question number 17, Series A, 2017. Right to vote is a constitutional right, and a lot of cases are there. So right to vote, even in section 62 of the Representation of People Act 1951, it is mentioned right to vote. But Article 326 says all citizens who have attained 18 years of age shall have the right to vote. Okay, shall enjoy the universal adult suffrage. Okay. Subject to other grounds of disqualification. Matlab, right to vote is not an absolute right. What are the other grounds of disqualification? Unsoundness of mind, crime, corrupt or illegal practice. So under section 60, what you call section 62 of the Representation of People Act, okay, you have right to vote, but in that if you are in jail, then you do not have the right to vote. Preventive detention may you will be allowed. But jail, unsoundness of mind, if you are, God forbid, anybody is in mental asylum. Next, non-residence. I am not a resident of Chennai, I will not vote in Chennai unless I shift to Chennai and transfer my name by filling the form at NVSP portal. So I'll shift my name from X place to Chennai. Then it will be there. So right to vote is not an absolute right. It is subject to certain restrictions like crime, corrupt or illegal practice. Then we have unsoundness of mind, and then you have non-residence. Now, the right to vote is mentioned in Representation of People Act 1951 also, and interpretation of Article 326, Universal Adult Suffrage, they both lead to right to vote. UPSC released its answer key and says right to vote is a constitutional right, although voting is also a form of expression, but we'll go by UPSC. Okay. Now, Article 324, Election Commission of India to conduct election for President, Vice President, Parliament, State Legislature, Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners that may be appointed. Chief Election Commissioner will be the head chairman of the commission. Chief Election Commissioner will be removed in the manner to that of Supreme Court judge. Other election commissioners can be removed on the recommendation of Chief Election Commissioner. Then it is the duty of the government to provide governor and president, matlab central government and state government, to provide staff for preparation of electoral rolls, conduct of election and all. This is a constitutional responsibility. Then we have Article 325. There will be no separate electoral roll. Neither somebody will be eligible to be included, nor somebody will be ineligible to be included in electoral roll. Now 326. All citizens who have attained 18 years shall have the enjoy the universal adult suffrage, shall be voting except on grounds of non-residence, crime, corrupt or illegal practice, like those who are in jail are not allowed to vote under section 62 subsection 5 of the Representation of People Act 1951. I'll show you that also. And non-residents, you cannot vote at a place where you are not ordinarily resident. For that you have to register there. Okay. 327 and 28 are easy. The Constitution doesn't provide the framework of the election. For example, how the voter list will be prepared, who is an ordinary resident, how the voter list will be revised, sections 21 of the Representation of People Act 1950, what if correction of entries, how the election, what is qualification, additional qualification to contest the election, disqualification, election related disputes, High Court will try, equality of vote, section 65, what are the corrupt practices, how election notification will be issued, how election disputes will be solved, what is electoral silence, section 126 of RPA 1951, what about exit poll, section 126A of RPA 1951, corrupt practice, section 123, disqualification, section 8, subsection 4. Thousands of things related to election, conduct of election are not mentioned in the Constitution. So Article 327 says, for all matters, all thing that is necessary for due constitution of such houses. So to constitute parliament, anything that is necessary, preparation of electoral rolls, etc., delimitation, whatever, parliament can make laws. Article 327. Article 328 says, state legislature can also make laws for matters related to the elections of state legislature, if parliament has not made a law in that regard. So since already Parliament has made a law, RPA 1950 and 51, so that is what you should be concerned. And Article 329 is divided into two parts. One, now this is very conceptual. No law related to delimitation shall be called into question in any court. So all laws related to delimitation delimitation is final, although last year when I was teaching, this year only, current affairs PT 365, in one of the judgment, court observed that if there is a blatant arbitrariness, then we will interfere. Anyways, what you need to remember, no law or order related to delimitation shall be called into question in any court. Even the website of Election Commission of India says that delimitation orders are tabled in the parliament, they are not allowed to be modified. No amendments are allowed. So delimitation cannot be challenged in court. Article next 329 mein next is no election shall be called into question except through an election petition. Now this is very conceptual. It says that no election shall be called into question except through an election petition before an authority decided by appropriate legislature. So first of all, please understand what is a election petition. So constitution says that no election shall be called into question except through an election petition. Okay, matlab, if now the elections have been conducted in the state of Bihar, so election cannot be called into question except through an election petition. Why they have written this? Key, for example, if there is a dispute related to a particular constituency. First important thing, you should never get confused between election issues and election dispute. Election issues like a voter verifiable paper audit trial, counting of votes through EVM or ballot paper should be introduced or not, decriminalization of politics, electoral silence, then the candidate should give their details in the affidavit, then none of the above, nota button, then voter verifiable paper audit trial, special intensive revision. These are not election disputes, these are election issues. So election related generic issues, they are challenged in Supreme Court under Article 32 of the Constitution or High Court under Article 226 of the Constitution. See, I'm trying to make it as brief I can. Honestly speaking, it is tough for me also because elections we can discuss for 2 days also, but I'm keeping it very simple. So do not get confused between election issue. I'm trying to bring those things which you will not get in most of the textbooks, which are practical things on ground, which you must realize related to election, which will help you in reading newspaper and understanding what is going on. Book mein to things are given which are mostly bookish. So never get confused between election dispute and election issues. All the things that you special intensive revision, voter verifiable paper audit trial, decriminalization of politics, giving your educational background in nomination paper, ADR case of 2002, all the criminal antecedents, political parties must publish the criminals cases against the candidates, then electoral silent, then NRI voting. So all these, and then matters related to the what you call special intensive revision, power matters related to nota button, none of the above button, matters related to decriminalization of politics, matters related to the power of Election Commission of India, appointment of election commissioner and chief election commissioners and other election commissioners. These are not election dispute. These are election issues. They are challenged in Supreme Court through PIL under Article 32 of the Constitution, or if a matter goes by appeal to Supreme Court. They should not be confused with election dispute. Election dispute is if 243 constituencies in Bihar elections were conducted, results were declared on 14th November. If there is a dispute in a particular constituency of some irregularity, then they can be challenged in the. So Article 329 says no election shall be called into question. So actually they are talking about election dispute related to a particular election. No election shall be called into question except through an election petition. What is meant? That if you want to challenge a particular election from one constituency in Bihar or any place in the country, then you have to file an election petition. Why they have written election petition? Matlab, you should not file a writ petition. You should not file a special leave petition. You should not file any other jurisdiction. So Article 32 writ petition in Supreme Court, 226 High Court, 131 Federal Dispute, 132, 133, 134, 136 appellate jurisdiction, 143 advisory jurisdiction. कह रहा है no election shall be called into question except through an election petition. मतलब you cannot file a writ or special leave petition for election. Election के लिए you can file only one petition, that is election petition. First page पे you will write this is an election petition before an authority decided by appropriate legislature. So the Constitution of India has not decided that who will decide election dispute. Constitution says appropriate legislature will decide that what will be the authority that will decide election dispute. Still you have not understood. Constitution leaves upon the legislature. Under Article 329, Constitution leaves upon the legislature that you will decide the body which will adjudicate upon election dispute. Constitution legislature पे छोड़ देता है कि आप डिसाइड कीजिए कि इलेक्शन डिस्प्यूट कौन डिसाइड करेगा. लेजिस्लेचर इलेक्शन डिस्प्यूट डिसाइड नहीं करेगा. लेजिस्लेचर ये डिसाइड करेगा कि इलेक्शन डिस्प्यूट कौन डिसाइड करेगा. For those who have still not understood, the Constitution of India leaves upon the appropriate legislature which in this case is Parliament, to decide. Parliament will decide which body will decide over election dispute. Parliament will not solve the election dispute. Parliament will only provide the authority which will solve the election dispute. So in Representation of People Act 1951, Parliament has added a provision. All election disputes shall be decided by the jurisdictional High Court. You can only go to jurisdictional High Court, mention there that this is an election petition. If you lose a case in High Court, you go to Supreme Court. Only by the candidate, anybody who has contested the election or one of the voter of that constituency. So election can be challenged by the voter of that constituency or one of the candidates who contested the election. Candidate can be from other constituency also. If you're a voter in anywhere, you can contest from the country, any constituency in the country except reserved. So for unreserved, you can contest. So the point is, election shall be called into question. Constitution leaves upon the legislature. The legislature will decide about election dispute. Who will decide? Legislature, by passing Representation of People Act 1951, legislature has provided कि नहीं, election dispute will be challenged in local high court, jurisdictional high court. One, within 45 days of declaration of result. तो अभी बिहार का election can be challenged only in Patna High Court within 45 days of declaration of result, either by the candidate or one of the voters of that constituency, that will go to the High Court. So अब जैसे there are many laws, many provisions in the constitution that require a law to be implemented. बहुत सारे constitution में ऐसे provision है जो इनको implement करने के लिए law बनाना पड़ता है. For example, Article 17, untouchability. You have Protection of Civil Rights Act. Punishment is not given in Article 17. You have Protection of Civil Rights Act and SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act. Main law is Protection of Civil Rights Act, which actually deals with untouchability. Now the point is, for example, Article 21A, the state shall provide free and compulsory education to all children in the age group 6 to 14 years in the manner state may determine by law. So Parliament has passed Right to Free and Compulsory Education Act, which defines the meaning of term free, compulsory, school management committee, no capitation fees, function of school management committee, sharing of financial burden between center and state, no physical punishment shall be given, no mental harassment shall happen, the right to be admitted in age appropriate classroom, etc. So many a times you need a law to implement an article of the Constitution. For example, Article 42 says maternity benefit, but there is a Maternity Benefit Act 1961 to implement Article 42. Article 39A, free legal aid. Who will be entitled? This is given in the Legal Services Authorities Act 1987. Article 23, immoral trafficking is banned. So you have Immoral Traffic Prevention Act, Bonded Labor System Abolition Act. Article 24, child labor is banned, but you have Child and Adolescent Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act. So always remember, everything cannot be written in the Constitution. There are so many provisions in the Constitution which require a law to be implemented by simple majority, to be enacted by simple, to implement that article of the Constitution. Similarly, for all matters related to election, Article 327 empowers the Parliament to make laws, and Parliament has made two laws, Representation of People Act 1950 and 1951. Now there are also political parties, Election Symbols Order 1968. All political parties are registered. All political parties are registered. After registration, these political parties are recognized. So registered to sab party hoti hai. Then they are recognized. Either they are state recognized or they are national recognized. National recognized, they will enjoy benefits like symbol will be frozen in the entire country. Same symbol will be there in the entire country. Getting my point? Then we have what you call, you will get a space in Delhi to conduct party activities. The convener or the president of the party may also get certain benefits. The party will get free airtime in Doordarshan and All India Radio. Then the registered, recognized political parties candidate only need to have one proposer in the nomination form. Unrecognized political parties or just independent candidates, they need to have 10 proposer. State registered parties, state recognized parties will have symbol frozen in the entire state. So all political parties beginning mein they are registered. On the basis of performance, later they are recognized as national recognized party or state recognized. State recognized party, all benefit you will get in the state, symbol same and all. National recognized party, you will get benefit at national level. If a state recognized party like Shiv Sena, JDU, RJD contest from other state, or MIM contest from Bihar, although it is a state recognized party in Telangana, then they write to Election Commission of India, which agrees ki, okay, in this state there is no recognized party that has the same symbol, so we'll freeze the symbol for you. Otherwise, the benefits they will get only in the state, but national party benefit will get in the entire country. Okay. So everything related to election, there are two laws, RPA 1950 and 1951. First, you see the provisions related to the elections in the constitution. I'm telling you, this is like, which you should remember. Acha. There are so many issues related to elections. Okay, mainly UPSC is what you call also concerned with the issues. If you see primarily, we have three aspects of election. What are the three aspects of election? सबसे पहले what जैसे ऐसे three aspects. What are the provisions in the constitution? So here you should know article 324 से 329, which is the easiest thing. Second, what are the provisions in the law and rules? यहाँ ये you should know RPA 1950 and 1951 easy law है, कोई strict नहीं. 51 थोड़ा सा it is a bit complicated, and conduct of election rules 1961 and electoral election symbols order 1968. These are you should know. फिर issues 90% of the question will be asked from here. Okay, जैसे issues में क्या भाई? Electronic voting machine, voter verifiable paper audit trial, simultaneous holding of election. This has been asked many times. UPSC mains. All these has been. Then you have exit poll. ठीक है. Exit poll. ठीक है. फिर model code of conduct. ठीक है. State funding of elections. ठीक है. Decriminalization of politics. NRI voting. ठीक है. Then you have NRI voting, EVM, VVPAT, state simultaneous holding of elections, exit poll, model code of conduct. Then you have provisions related to what you call the political parties, registration of political parties, and political parties within the purview of RTI Act. Very important. Section 2H of the RTI Act 2005. There is a judgment also by Chief Central Information Commission, that is 3rd June 2013, where they should be brought under political parties, should be brought under RTI Act, but the matter is pending in Supreme Court. Political parties, inner party democracy. Then you have provisions related to the social media, electoral silence, what are the corrupt practices. Then we have provisions related to what you call the state funding of elections, which we have already mentioned, or you have provisions related to the what you call enforcement of model code of conduct. Model code of conduct is again a very, very important thing, how it has come. Then you have electoral reforms, like you have reforms like electoral bonds. You have Association for Democratic Reforms case. Then you have Lily Thomas case. Then you have provisions related to what you call the political parties, the provisions related to conduct of free and role of Election Commission of India. Okay, in free and fair election. Then you have reforms that should also come, that preparation of voter list. Okay, preparation of voter list, integrating the voter list of State Election Commission with that of Election Commission of India. Then you have Chief Electoral Officer and of machinery that is involved in conduct of election. They have other issues like that tainted candidates, criminals, candidate with criminal background, decriminalization of politics. So decriminalization of politics, electoral bond, voter verifiable paper audit trial, simultaneous holding of elections. Then you have single transferable vote proportional representation versus you have single transferable vote proportional representation versus you have first past the post system. Okay. First past the post system. Then you have exit poll, VVPAT, EVM, electoral bond, model code of conduct, simultaneous holding of election, state finance of elections, Umesh Sinha committee on social media. Then you have the exit poll, opinion poll, electoral reforms within the election commission, single transferable vote proportional representation versus first past the post system. All of these are election issues. So broadly you can classify elections in three. Pehla to provisions of the constitution I'm going to show you. Then you have Representation of People Act 1950 and 1951, Election Symbols Order 1968 and Conduct of Election Rules 1961. And then you have issues related to election. 90% chances hai UPSC will ask from here. Here they will ask you, you should, whenever you are answering here, then you should mention these things because these are the base of the pizza. While here you have the content, what kind of, so you will mix all these, you should know this also and this to write a beautiful answer. If we have, for example, I'll try to cover to the extent I can. Okay. If, dear students, if you see the constitution, let's see the constitution. First, so you should be absolutely clear with Article 324 to 329. Another important thing that you need to understand, dear student, okay, that you should never get confused between State Election Commission and Election Commission of India. Election Commission of India is for different Part 15 and State Election Commission Part 9, they are for different purpose. The representative of Election Commission of India in each state, it is impossible for Election Commission of India to conduct election from Delhi. So in every state there is a statutory office which is the eye, ear, everything of Election Commission of India. That is Chief Electoral Officer. India mein jitne bhi state hain, you will find CEO. For example, if I type CEO, so here the class is being conducted from Delhi. So they have opened CEO Delhi. So every state in India has Chief Electoral Officer. He is the main representative of Election Commission of India. यहाँ तो चलो CEO दिल्ली हो गया, CEO उत्तर प्रदेश हो गया, then you have CEO राजस्थान, CEO हरियाणा, CEO West Bengal, CEO Kerala, CEO Uttarakhand, CEO Madhya Pradesh. So every state in India have the main representative of Election Commission of India, who is Chief Electoral Officer. He is an IAS officer of that particular state. He is an IAS officer of that particular state cadre appointed by the Election Commission of India in consultation with state government. He is mentioned in both Representation of People Act 1950 also and 1951 also. Okay. Now, if you see the Constitution of India, let's turn to Article 324 to 329. So, Article 324 to 329. Article 324, the superintendence, direction and control and preparation of electoral rolls and the conduct of elections to Parliament. Which election? Parliament, state legislature, president and vice president shall be vested in a commission referred to as Election Commission. Election Commission shall consist of Chief Election Commissioner and such other election commissioners, if any. Okay. Now the point is, when any other election commissioner is appointed, then Chief Election Commissioner shall act as the chairman of the Election Commission. Before every election, the president may also appoint regional commissioners, but nowadays they are usually not appointed. Okay. So the point is, Chief Election Commissioner shall not be removed except in like and manner of the judge of Supreme Court, and other election commissioners will be removed on the recommendation, provided that other election commissioner or regional commissioner shall not be removed except on the recommendation of Chief Election Commissioner. So other election commissioner do not enjoy the security of tenure, but Chief Election Commissioners enjoys the security of tenure relatively more, because he will be removed in the manner similar to that of Supreme Court judge. But other election commissioners and regional commissioners can be removed anytime on the recommendation of Chief Election Commissioner. This is the president or governor, matlab technically central government and state government will make available election commission such staff as may be necessary for discharge of functions under 324 clause 1. Now, no person shall be ineligible, neither a person will be ineligible, nor a person claimed to be included. Neither you will be eligible or ineligible to be included in voter list on the grounds of religion, race, caste or sex. Now, elections to Lok Sabha and State Legislative Assembly shall be conducted on universal adult suffrage. You have attained the age of 18 years. Otherwise, if you are not disqualified under constitution or any law on the ground of non-residence, unsoundness of mind, crime, corrupt or illegal practice. Now, nothing is given exhaustively in the constitution related to election. Thousands of things are left: election notification, election dispute, exit poll, corrupt practices, opinion poll, qualification, disqualification, electoral officer, chief electoral officer, electoral registration officer, general observers, counting of vote, equality of vote, section 65, returning officer, the booth level, booth level officer, election agent, counting agent, what you call the candidate, the general observer. Thousands of things related to election are not written in the constitution. So Article 327 says, subject to the provisions of the constitution, Parliament may from time to time make law with respect to all matters related to election of Parliament or state legislature, including preparation of electoral roll delimitation. For all matters related to election, Parliament can make laws, anything that is necessary for due constitution of such houses. So whatever is necessary to make Parliament come into existence, the Parliament can make laws. So Parliament has made two laws, Representation of People Act 1950 and 1951. Phir, same hai, subject to the provisions, and if in that behalf law is not made by the parliament. If the law is not made by the parliament, that state legislature may also make laws for all matters related to the elections of state legislature. Since parliament has already made a law, so you will rely upon 327, that is RPA 1950 and 51. Phir, no, notwithstanding anything, the validity of any law related to delimitation shall not be called into question in any court, and no election to parliament or state legislature shall be called into question except by an election petition. Why they have written? Because somebody may file a writ petition under Article 32, special leave petition under Article 136, appellate juris. So you will only file an election petition to such authority as provided by appropriate legislature. So appropriate legislature has provided the authority, which is what you call, which is the High Court, jurisdictional High Court within 45 days of the declaration of result. If you lose a case in High Court, then you can go to Supreme Court. But first you will file an appeal in High Court, and only that person who is either a voter or one of the candidates can file a petition. Election, 14 days of declaration of result, you can challenge that. Okay, else, of course, the person who is a winner, why will he challenge? Okay, so, but others can challenge. Winner usually will disappear. Why will he challenge? But yes, this is the provision. There is law made by parliament under Article 329. Okay, and 330 says reservation of seats in Lok Sabha for SC/ST. 331, Anglo-Indian up to 2 members can be nominated. It has been discontinued. 332, seats reserved for SC/ST in state legislative assembly as per their population. Then you must link that with delimitation and all. Time is less, so now I'll not go into that. 333, 1 member in Anglo-Indian from Anglo-Indian community can be what you call nominated to state legislative assembly. It has been discontinued by 104th Constitutional Amendment Act. 335, while taking the claims of the members of SC/ST community, administrative efficiency should not be compromised. Then you have 338, National Commission for Scheduled Caste A, Scheduled Tribe B, backward classes. 339, Temporary Tribal Commission, and center can give direction to the state to draw up and execute schemes for the welfare of scheduled tribe. 340 is Backward Classes Commission. 341, SC list. 42, ST list. 42A, OBC list. Socially and educationally backward classes list. Center and state can have 2 different lists. Added by 102nd Amendment. Amended by 105th Amendment, Article 342A. Then you have 343 say 351, you have languages. 343, official language of the Union. 344, official language commission and committee. 345, language of the state. Then you have important 348, important related to the language of the court, and 350A, direction to provide adequate instruction in their mother tongue. 350B, Special Officer for Linguistic Minorities. 351, the direction to the Union to promote the spread of Hindi language. 352 say 360, you have emergencies, President rule and financial emergency. Anyways, I'll not go into that. Now, one last thing which I will dwell before wrapping up the conversation. One confusion among RPA 1950 and 51. RPA 1950 and 51. This, you should never have this confusion. Just remember, everything related to before the start of election, before the announce of election, everything that is there is in RPA 1950. From the announce of election to the conduct of election to declaration of result to election dispute to election related issues to election related free and fairness, all such is in 1951. For example, preparation of electoral rolls happens before the election, so it is in 1950. Then delimitation of constituencies happened before the election, so it is in 1950. Who is an ordinary resident to be enrolled in voter list? 1950. Revision of voter list, which is in news now, section 621 of the RPA 1950. RPA 1950 is a very brief law, छोटा सा law. This is a voluminous law. यहाँ how election notification will be issued, what is qualification, what is disqualification, election related offences, election related disputes, counting of votes, section 126 electoral silent, corrupt practices, section 123 exit poll, opinion poll, although exit poll is mentioned, an opinion survey term is there in exit poll, section 126A. Then you have qualification, disqualification, section 8 subsection 4. Then you have corrupt practices. Then you have equality of votes, section 65. Who is not eligible to vote, section 62 X, he is in preventive detention, he will be allowed, otherwise in jail you are not allowed. Then you have 123 corrupt practices, all 2 people get the same vote, section 65 equality of votes. Okay, then you have provisions related to 126A, 126 electoral silence. that 48 hours before the what you call this thing, before the conclusion of the poll, all election related things would campaign would end. Then you have the provisions related to ki bhai, what you call the qualification, all such things. Okay, this is in RP 90. Ab election officers, some see, don't think that election work is only during the election. Election work is throughout the year. Okay, so if at the back of your voter ID card, which is electoral photo identity card, you will find the signature of electoral registration officer, ERO. Okay, who is usually the SDM. So ERO is there. But district election officer, DM is district election officer, who is involved throughout the year, adding of name, removal of name, identifying a new booth, okay, looking into the various aspects of preparation of electoral roll. So two offices are here as well as here. CEO is functional throughout the year and also during the election. So here DEO is mentioned throughout the year. So district election officer. Otherwise, for preparation of voter list, electoral registration officer is on only 1950. But other offices like returning officer who will accept nomination, observers who will come from other state, IS officer is general observer, then election agent who will be the representative of candidate, counting agent, booth level, then you have the polling agent. All such things are given in RPA 1951. So if you see, RPA 1951 is a voluminous law dealing with everything from the announcement of election to the conclusion of poll to the declaration of winner. In RPA 1950, only preparation of voter list and delimitation, everything that is required before the start of election. And some officers are common in both. You have CEO, both the side, DEO, both the sides. Okay. So, and then you have three major aspects related to election, which is one, the provisions in the constitution, the provisions in the law, and the issues arising out of election, which require at least 3-4 hours to do, even if we touch upon them. Okay. And here you will go, one more thing I would like to add, go to what you call election symbols order 1968 and see what is the criteria to become a nationally recognized party and a state recognized party. Because this can be asked in prelims, maybe in mains, but prelims too they can ask. Okay. Now, if we go to RPA 1950 and 51, before we wrap up the conversation, 50 is an easy law. And for all the laws, you will refer to indiacode.nic.in. That is the most reliable, what you call, Representation of People Act 1950. So if we look here, or let's compare that with RPA 1951. Okay. So if you see RPA 1951, let's see 50 first. Very brief law. Zada. Which state will have how many seats in Lok Sabha? First schedule of RPA 1950. Which state will have how many seats in State Legislative Assembly? Second schedule of RPA 1950. So background of election is given in RPA 1950. Okay. If you see, basic hai. Delimitation. Okay. Then district election officer, chief electoral officer, electoral registration officer at the back of your voter ID card, which is EPIC, electoral photo identity card. What is an electoral roll for every constituency? No person will be registered in more than one or more than once. Then you have preparation of electoral roll, correction of entries, inclusion of names in voter list, all such thing. Okay. Bas. Which state will have how many seats? Basic issues. Which state will have how many seats in Lok Sabha, State Legislative Assembly in first and second schedule respectively. Lok Sabha is House of People, Legislative Assembly of State. Now RPA 1951, voluminous. Qualification, then you have disqualification, then you have notification of election, then observer, returning officer, assistant returning officer, 29A, registration of political parties, very important, nomination, then you have election agent, everything, polling agent, counting agent, death of a candidate of a recognized party, section 62, right to vote, section 65, two people get equal vote, equality of vote, so many things. Section 123 was asked by UPSC, corrupt practices, section 126 electoral silence, 126A exit poll, getting my point. So misconduct and all such things are there. Liquor not to be sold, section 135C, you cannot go, the prohibition of going armed near the polling station, 134B, all such things. So this is powers of election commission, 146 election commission. Okay, so RPA 1951 is more of a voluminous law. what I've tried to do, I've given you a very broad understanding of election and what kind of questions can be asked by UPSC. And you can what you call go through the same, and this is something which we briefly tried to bring it for the time being. Okay, so this was about the provisions in the constitution, law, and the rules, and some aspects related to that. Okay, so I've very broadly covered that. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.